So Departed podcast. I'm super excited today to have the beautiful Kristen MF Clark. She is definitely a new thought leader, and she has the capacity, and she will blow your mind with her. She'll expand you in one way or the other. Let me promise you this: you will not leave this conversation today, listening to this conversation or watching it, and you'll be having some deeper.
You won't be the same person.
You won't be the same person. So we're here to talk, obviously, about the subject of death, or the fact that there really is no death, but all the layers. Kristen's going to add some layers. So let's just get this party started.
I love this. Death, or what we're perceiving as a state of death is such, it's like my favorite. It's my favorite subject. And so you guys are going to hear me say a lot, state. And all that is your I am. So when you're saying I am a grandmother, that's the state of being a grandmother. And with that state comes its own manifestations and its own world and its own reality and dimension and memories and thoughts and beliefs. It comes with all that. And it's so the state of death has evolved a lot for me over the years. And I know it's never going to stop, because as Janet and I were talking about before this, is I'm a big lover of Neville Goddard's content. Love his content. And she was asking me, well, what does Neville Goddard think of death? And I'm like, it's just another state. It's just another state of mind, state of being. And one thing I learned a long time ago, and we're going to Jana and I are going to talk about that. I have died 3 times. Actually, we've all died infinite number of times. And, we have no recollection of it, simply because we go into it with expectations of what it's supposed to be like. And it's nothing like that. So we're like, oh, I never died. And it's like, oh, yes, you have. But anyway, I have had 3 real death, as far as the belief of that kind of an experience. And in the medical community and stuff, they call it an NDE, a near-death experience, because they didn't put you in a pine box and drop you in the ground. Even if you were laying on the table with no heartbeat or nothing for 3 minutes, they still call that an NDE, because you didn't stay dead. So what happened to me is, when I was a little kid, I got into a bunch of my mother's pills. Middle of the night, I got up, went into my parents' bathroom, and they had to tell me this because I don't remember any of it, but I had thought her pills were candy, and I ate a whole bunch of them. Oh. Well, I know, great little kid, and I think I was about 4.
Well, candy.
I know, and I'll tell you I do have little memories of bits and pieces of this, and one of the memories I have is the distinct taste of that was not candy, but I have it, and our imaginations are so powerful, but I can still, here we are 50 years later, I can still taste that. Wow. I immediately dropped that taste. It wasn't good. I also remember going on a hell of a trip that night in my room. The carpet was moving. I thought there was rats in the carpet, and my closet.
What else you took?
Most of it was just decongestants. She was a big allergy thing. So it was all antihistamines and decongestants. So it definitely wasn't going to kill me, or so we thought. But the next morning, and yeah, like I said, I was on a freaking acid trip. The next morning, and none of this I remember, but my parents said I came out and I had my little basket left over from Easter, and it full of her bottles, and they were all empty. And I was just like asking who ate all my candy, and they were like, Oh, and luckily my father's a doctor, so he stayed with me for the whole day, and we all went for a drive, my sister and my dad and I. And he said at one point he looked up in the rearview mirror and I was white and my lips were blue. I was gone. And he pulled over. And back then they called it swallowing your tongue because you do your tongue. You got so into such a relaxed state of dead weight, the tongue becomes dead weight and slides back. And so anyway, so and he was able to resuscitate me, and they had some guy pulled over and they all drove me to the hospital. I stayed in the hospital, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, one of the things I do remember is that I didn't have any white light experience, nothing like that. Okay. In none of my NDEs did I have any of that. So you're not going to hear that story. And, one thing, Janet, we were talking about is I'm like, what if I did? That's my experience. When you guys hear people talking about the white light and all of that, I'm going to tell you right now, you go into every state with an expectation. And the state of death is no different. No different. If you go into the state of death with an expectation that, oh, I'm going to see a white light. Oh, I'm going to see my past loved ones there, arms wide open. You will have that because the state of death is no different than the state of making dinner, the state of washing your face, the state of going out and buying shoes, the state of being a successful business owner. You go into every state with expectations, and through those expectations, you're creating this whole experience that, like I said before, comes with its own manifestations. And so the state of death, we understand states, right? We understand that. But then we go to death, and that's a different world unto itself. Well, you can be as spiritual as it gets. You can understand Neville Goddard. You can understand all these things, but then you get into, but death. And death is so removed. It's such a different space. It's like, oh, wait, death. It's the end of the chapter. It's the end of the book. Shut the door. And now we're talking ghosts and non-physical and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's great. That's an experience. That's going to be an experience for you. But you don't stop. What's on the other side of that? What's on the other side of that experience? What's on the other side of that state? Because you always get to another side of a state. So anyway, back to that experience. So I I don't know for sure because we very much manifest our own memories, but I do know that there was a shift for me at that time that I kind of understood that there just was no death. I just remember not understanding people's worries and fears. And like when our rabbit died because the dog got a hold of it or something, I was just like, it didn't really faze me. And it was just as easy to get sucked into the world of death. But for me, it was just kind of like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. So many, many, many years later, I was a surfer. I love surfing. And I was just learning, and I went out in some waves that I had no business being out in. We were having a major storm, and I got caught out. And what happens is the bigger the wave, the further out, the deeper the water is and the further out. You're not going to have these enormous giant waves right on, just regular waves, not tsunamis, but right on the shore. That's not going to happen. They're further out. So my thought pattern at the time of being scared out of my mind and exhausted was if I could get to the backside of these waves, I could just relax for a minute, catch my breath, get strong, and then paddle in between these sets. Well, what I didn't know is that the storm set they were predicting to come in was already there. I was supposed to have another 3 hours, but no, it was there. And every time I kept trying to paddle out, I'm getting further and further and further away from shore. And I'm interacting with bigger and bigger waves. And I'm just getting pummeled. Every wave that comes hits me. And you do this thing where it's called to turn turtle, where you turn upside down and the wave hits your board instead, and you're underneath holding on, right? Well, you can only do that so many times with these big 10-foot waves. And there comes a point where you're so exhausted. You're just so exhausted. And so here comes this another, and there was no break. It was just one wave after another. Here comes another one. Here comes another one. So it's hard for me to talk about this. I get shaky. And here comes another one. And I'm looking at this one wave coming, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't. It's not like they pick you up and take you into the shore. That would have been nice. I would have been fine with that. I didn't care how beat up I got. Just let that happen. It's all it does is just smash you down underwater. And so here comes this giant wave, and all I can do at this point is just throw my board away and just kind of huddle in. I was so exhausted I couldn't even hold a breath. I couldn't even go. I was so exhausted. I couldn't do that. So all I could do was just kind of curl into a little ball. And in that moment, I knew I was dead. I knew I was like, this is it. There's no coming back from this one.
Wow.
And when that wave hit me, I had this sudden thought of, wait, my 8-year-old son is sitting out there on the shore playing with his friend. I can't go anywhere. And so all I remember is no. I'm very much aware I'm underwater and everything's black and it's gone. But I remember distinctly saying, no. And I came up, I popped up out of water, and there's a person right there. Now, prior to this, there was nobody around. I was desperately trying to find somebody around. There was nobody there. And I come up, and there's a surfer right there. And he goes, hey, do you need help? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, grab my rope. And I'm like, I can't even take a breath. And he's like, I'm watching another big wave coming. And he goes, okay. And he wrapped his leash around my arm. And he starts frantically paddling, getting me in. And long story short, he got me in. But I do remember, I do know in that moment, I got to the shore and all I could do was just sit down and, just sit there for a minute and just go, that was death. That was death.
Wow.
It wasn't, a big fanfare. It wasn't anything other than no. It was as simple as, you go to walk out the door to get in your car and, oh, wait, I forgot something. You turn around and come back in. It was exactly like that, except a lot more traumatic.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No kidding. That was.
Oh, yeah. So, and then several years ago, I live up in the Big Bear Mountains, and I was driving on the road, and it was very early. It was probably about 5 a.m. and there was nobody out there on the road, and I lost control and I went over the edge, and that's instant death because it's just a straight drop. And I remember heading right for the cliff and just going, oh, well, okay, here we go. It'll be interesting to see what's on the other side of this one. And right at the point where the car was to go over, I don't recall falling or anything like that. Next thing I remember, I'm probably about 300 yards down the road on the side of the road, parked, just sitting there looking at the sunrise. Yeah, that look on your face. Yeah. And going, what the fuck just happened? And deeply understanding that it was that's death. That's just death. That's death. And so in that moment, I really started, while I'm just sitting there on the side of the road and I'm looking in my rearview mirror back where I went over the road, and I'm sitting here and I'm like going, okay, self, you're in charge now. Tell me what the fuck. Tell me, okay, because I'm enough. I'm not playing anymore in this state of what. I need to know, because this is my existence, this is my life. I want to know. And immediately it was like, yes, this is existence. Have you ever, and you've heard me say this, have you ever not existed?
Right.
And this is what I'm hearing. And I was like, and in that moment, I can't even explain the whoa of, we think we live on a planet, right? We think we live on this earth, flat, round, whatever you want to, believe. We think we live on an earth. To be somebody living on an earth, you kind of got to shrink yourself down.
Yeah.
And you've got to be one of, 7 billion? Where are we up to? 7 billion?
7, 8 billion.
Yeah. And you've got to be very small,
Yeah.
very insignificant
Yep.
in, yeah. And we don't live on an earth. You
Yeah.
don't live on a world. You live on your existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no world. And so there will be some people wanting to, fight for their limitation here with this. This is fine, guys. There is no right or wrong or good or bad or you're right, I'm wrong, and blah, blah. There's none of that. Though that is a state you get to play in because you're that amazing.
Yeah.
But when we remove all these things that shrink us down, the God starts peeking through. The God's like going, wait a minute, I'm the man behind the curtain. You don't want to see me. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. In comes your mind with all these distractions. And as I had said before, I wrote a book called The Brain That Outsmarted the God.
Wow.
And yeah, we have so many experiences, but we have this expectation, this belief, this game, this fun sandbox that there is a non-physical world outside of us where source, God, all that is past loved ones, all of that. They all reside over there. And because you are the God of your reality, you are creating that. You are creating it. I mean, there was a time where I created UFOs and interaction with aliens. And I had said this in a video before. And I had said this to you before, or showed it to you. We all want to grow, but are we willing to outgrow? Because the two come together. There was a time where Santa was very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
We moved into, it was make believe or whatever, but that was our way of outgrowing something we created that was very real.
Yeah.
Very real. Yes, very real. All of that. So as we go through our ages and we go through our experiences, which are the best things in the world, and again, I say we, guys, this is just me talking, me and my experience. I am never, ever going to say, ever, am I going to say, oh, you're imagining that. You're imagining that. Well, actually, if I do say you're imagining that, that's a compliment because it means your imagination is holy shit awesome, because that is where everything, that's your fount. That's your fount of creation. And so when you are this God deciding, I want to play with non-physical, I want to play with that. Let's see that. You will now create all these experiences, somebody passing and them communicating with you in one way or another, somebody else channeling, experiences of saying, God, please, please, I need this so bad. And poof, there it is. You get to have all this major experiences of playing small and playing insignificant and playing anything but a God. And it's amazing and it's wondrous, but you don't stop growing. So there comes a point where you outgrow that sandbox, that experience. You outgrow it. And it's like, okay, what's next? Well, that outgrowing is death. That's all death is.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And so Abraham Hicks made I was at one of the seminars and they had said that somebody was asking about death. And they said, when you guys leave here, when you all get up from your chairs and you go out those doors and you leave, you're not going to be longingly looking back going, I want to go back to my chair. You're just on to the next. And that's death. Yeah. And I loved that. I love that. That very much was, yes. But it also, it spoke to me of such a simplicity, but also a continuation of your existence. Your existence. And I mean you. I'm not talking about some invisible something inside of you. I'm
Right.
not talking about anything but you, Janet, sitting right there with all your memories, all your experiences, everything up to this point. This is the God. This is the God. Existence is everything, and your existence is never going to stop. And maybe you will have a death experience that's nothing like mine, because you're like, not you, but you people
Right.
are like, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting story, but maybe that was just chemicals making her think that. She probably just blacked out and somehow piloted her car down to blah, 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 blah. There's all that available, all those different states available, continuing the state of small or allowing the state of, okay, I am the creator of this reality in all moments, in all, shifting states, billions of states a second. I want to know that. I want to know what that is. I don't want to just say I do that and I have no idea how I do it. I want to know that version of me. And just through that, you start having all these, you don't have to do anything. It just starts happening. You have these epiphanies, you have these experiences, you have these validations of a video comes up on YouTube that, and you're like, well, I was just thinking about that. But like we were talking prior to recording this, the epiphanies you get when you're driving. And I love that the last death experience I had was while driving. And the coolest thing is it really just opened the world for me of outgrowing this term death and all the manifestations that come with it. There's nothing in that space anymore. It's gone. Just like there's nothing in the Santa space anymore other than a memory,
Well,
of, yeah, yeah. So have I said anything where you want to ask her?
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's what you're talking about is like next level for sure. I've kind of been I've focused for many years on the Abraham Hicks teaching because that's what resonated with me. But in the last year, you were the catalyst, obviously. But I've kind of moved over to Neville's teaching. So I'm still kind of new to his teaching. But, like, for instance, what's a Neville perspective of, I was married for 24 and a half years, and then my spouse chose to make his exit from the planet. And yeah, can you kind of Neville Goddard that situation?
Well, once again, it's Neville Goddard. Well, by the way, congratulations on outgrowing, where you were before that. You just keep growing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's what happened to me. I loved very much Abraham, but through my own experiences with channeling and everything, I quickly, I outgrow things so quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to wallow. I just want to sit in this fun energy of channeling and channeling a dragon collective and just playing there. But no, I just outgrow these things so fast.
Yeah.
So congratulations on outgrowing the beautiful aspect of you that created Abraham Hicks and all their wonderful, mind-blowing teachings. But the one thing I love very much about Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks is it's so loving. It's so loving.
Yeah.
There's just this yumminess in that, and I love it. So when I outgrew that, I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to, and I kept going back to the recordings,
Yeah.
trying to elicit that yummy feeling again. And while it was there from a memory standpoint, that initial yumminess wasn't there. So in comes Neville Goddard, and Neville Goddard is great because what he did is he took the Bible and he now he wasn't the originator of this. He just is the one that brought it out to the public. But a lot of the Jewish, different branches of Jewish religion believe in this, where the Bible is not a historical account of people.
Right.
Yeah, it is every person in the Bible is a state. It's a
Wow.
state of mind. It's a state of being, including being crucified, including
Yeah.
dying and resurrecting, and all of this. These are states. And it's very much, he kind of takes it very almost to where you need an interpreter to understand what he's talking about. But it's for you, through my own, what I know is that in every moment. So let me ask you, are you always, oh, this is big. Sorry, this is coming in right now. This is big. Are you always Janet, the widow?
No. No.
Oh, that was well. I love the laugh in your
No.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, there's no way. No matter what state we play with. See, you asked a question from the state of Janet the widow.
That's
And
it.
the minute you pulled into that state, in with it, you immediately manifested, or I like to say created, memories and
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
the existence that there was a husband. You immediately manifested all of that. So
Yeah.
you had something wonderful to talk about, to play with. You jumped out of this sandbox and you went into the widow sandbox. And it was very cool. But you feel how it's like, oh, now there's no significance there because it was just a state. Yeah. And in the very next minute of anything happening, like
Right.
you could have an earthquake right now, you're going to forget that state. You're going to bebop out of that state and go right into another state.
Right.
Right.
That's what it's weird because I was thinking about that this morning when I was getting ready, Kristen, just about the whole topic of death. And I was first exposed to it when my paternal grandfather made his transition when he was like, when he went into another state, exited his body, his human body, when I was like 12 years old. But I knew, there was something.
So let me interrupt you a sec.
Yeah.
There was no grandfather. There was no you at 12 years old. You are manifesting this entire memory, all of this right now, to support a state you've just moved into.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, so everything in your reality comes and goes, and you know where I'm going with this in a minute, but it's going to go bigger than we've ever gone before. Everything in your reality, your thoughts, your beliefs, your memories, the person you were just on the phone with, the house you're living in, the trees outside, everything in your reality comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out. I'm a widow. I'm not a widow. I can't even remember that. I wasn't even talk about that. In and out, in and out. They come in, have experiences with you, move you from one state to another, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
You could be in the middle of the biggest catastrophe of your life. Oh my God, there's COVID. Everybody has to wear masks. You're in your car and you're just like, oh, this happened and all these people are dying. And then you look in your rearview mirror and there's a cop on your tail. Boom, you have forgotten about COVID. You have forgotten about everything in that moment because, oh shit, now you're looking at your speedometer. He's right on your ass. Okay. This is life. Everything comes in and goes out, comes in and goes out. But there's one thing, and you know where I'm going. One thing in your life that does not have that capacity. But more than that, existence. Your existence cannot come in and go out.
Wow.
Your existence is the only thing in your reality that exists without any help from you.
Wow.
So everything else needs your attention, needs your participation in order to exist. But not existence. Existence does not rely on you to exist.
It just is.
So perhaps that's where we need to be putting our focus. That's where we need to be putting our attention, is in this can't stop existence of existence, your existence. And when you dive in to this, and this has got to be your own experience, it is another state. Yes, right? It's another state.
Yeah.
But it's also bigger than a state, because states come in and go out, and this does not. And when you focus in on that, just kind of maybe lay in bed or when you're driving, letting whatever wants to come in about existence come in. There you see the God. It can't hide. It hides really well in everything else. Everything else that comes and goes, it hides wonderfully. But in existence, there's the God that's hiding behind everything, including the belief in such a thing as death. And when you allow death to just be a state, with it comes manifestations of memories and la 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 la, and you just play with it from that space.
Right.
Not the space of, oh my God, this is the end all, shut the chapter or all done, but from the space of, oh, there's another state. And in all moments, as you know, you get to say, I'm going to outgrow that state. I'm done with that state.
Well, it just doesn't, and the whole thing
Yeah.
I think I was trying to make was it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be hard or, it was, and now it's not. And, it's important to move on. And there is, being in a state of grieving, a perceived loss. I mean, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Because
I don't think it's anybody's.
Well, I see a lot of people really, I don't know.
Are those people there? Or are you manifesting and creating to support a state?
I'm seeing it. I'm in groups, groups on Facebook about the talk, that are trying to support these people. But and what I want, my deepest desire for everyone is just to see that it's not, it doesn't have to be difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so that article I sent you, on Neville's talk about death is, you can't sit here and say, I'm rich. A lot of people love to do the ceremony of the I ams to manifest and to create and to change their reality. And they're sitting here saying, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. And then they go to the grocery store and they're like, those tomatoes are so expensive. Those tomatoes are cheaper. Okay, I got to buy. And so that's this double-minded state.
Right.
That the I am rich is now gone. You can't be, if you were the person that's I am rich, you're not going to care about what the price of the tomatoes are. You're going to get the most delicious one.
Right.
So when you're playing with the state of death, there is no death.
Right.
There is no hard. There is no this. There is no that. And yet at the same time, you're gravitating to people who are saying this. They're simply reflections of you, right? They're simply reflections of your old man, the old personality that you're like, I'm done with that personality. And yet you're not, because you're still interacting with it. Cool. What a great experience. What a great space to be in. But the coolest thing is when you're aware, when you're like, oh, wait a minute. So, there is a version of you that's like your dream version, right? And so what my thing that I always do is I interact with my dream version, and I'm like, would this dream version play here? Would this version of me play here? And it's again, there's no right or wrong or good or bad here. There's just a freaking another experience. And behind all these experiences is you, the God, and you can't stop being a God. You can't, none of it's just an experience.
Right. But I really do enjoy interacting with my dearly not so departed loved ones. It's just, it's a hell of a
blast. I did too.
It's a fun experience. It's like a friend of mine, made his transition back in 2017. There's a particular song, and yesterday I was running an errand and that song pops up on the radio, and it's just, I don't know, I enjoy that connection.
Isn't it fun? I did that for years. I did it. I was a medium, and I think you know the story about how one of my clients, for you guys that don't know, I do physical therapy, mobile physical therapy, and one of my clients of 4 years, he's staunch Lutheran. I mean, he heaven and hell, and here I am, Miss Airy Fairy, and I'm like, there is no heaven and hell, and we would have great conversations. He was just such an open, beautiful, open heart, willing to hear this, but it didn't waver him off of his own beliefs, and so I told him, I said, well, when you die, I'm going to reach out to you and say, I told you so. And that's exactly what I did. He made his transition, and, or I, experienced that. And I couldn't reach out to him because I just couldn't. So I had another friend of mine who is a medium reach out to him and say, I told you so. And he appeared, he's so funny because she'd never met him, didn't know anything about him. And she goes, does he look like this and this and this? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, this is him. And she goes, he has one message for you. And it's, you get what you expect. Which is what I started this whole thing with. Wow. You get what you expect at all times. Wow. It doesn't, whether you're living, no matter what you're doing, you get what you expect. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I read a on social this morning. It was something to the effect of, basically, you're seeing the world in a particular way because you're looking at it that way.
Yeah.
And, I was like, yeah, that's absolutely it. Because we're the interpreters. We're
the creators. Well, yeah. And so you have an expectation and you create that expectation.
Right.
And how awesome is that? And when you start realizing that you can manipulate your expectations and start having your hands in the clay, and you start seeing what you're already doing, you're never learning how to do this. You already do it. You do it all the time. You just now become aware. Oh, wow. I've been doing that. Sort of like breathing. You're not, how many times a day are you counting your breaths? Are you aware you're breathing? It's like, you're already doing it all the time. You don't have to be aware of it. Yeah, you can control it if you want.
That's exactly what it was when I really stepped up and started channeling like 3 years ago. It was just what you were just talking about. It wasn't a big hairy deal. It's like, I've been doing this pretty much all my life. This is not a big deal. This is not a big deal.
Yeah, everybody's doing it. Yeah. Everybody's doing it. Well, we channel constantly.
Whether they're consciously aware of it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful. But the thing is to just love. Really, have a freaking blast in whatever space you're playing in. Yeah. And understand you're going to grow, whether you like it or not. You're going to grow. You can't stop that. So that means you outgrow. And so again, like you look at the picture I put up today where my 18-year-old self, oh my God, I thought I knew life. This is who I'm going to be the rest of my life. And then, I was just like, I know everything. I'm good. Oh, she's so dead.
I know nothing.
Yeah, well, but that version of me is so dead. She's everything she loved, everything she thought, everything, all the music she liked, everything she thought she knew about boys, everything. It's gone. It is so gone. Yeah. And at that time, if you had told me I was going to outgrow that version of me, I would have told you to fuck off, because I was so attached. Wow. But whether I was attached or not, it still happened, Wow. Yeah, and that's what life experiences and existence is. It's just this constant expanding out. And the thing is, Janet, you manifested me saying all of this.
Yep.
And it wasn't then, like you said a minute ago, It wasn't hard. You didn't try. You were, and it was a desire somewhere, and this is what you created, and vice versa.
Right.
And so the one thing that you were asking about Neville Goddard's very big on seeing someone in a certain state. This guy's lost his job, he's lost his wife, he's an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. He wants to get clean, but I can't, blah, blah, blah. And instead of, coming in and therapy and da, 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 instead removed, Neville just sees him as whole. It's the same way, Jesus, the story of Jesus, because that's exactly what Jesus is.
Right.
In the Bible, Jesus is your imagination, your ability to see the blind seeing, the ability to see somebody with leprosy whole and healed. And so when I'm looking at death, it was like, no, I'm not looking at this end and this mystery thing anymore. It's
the physical body expires.
No, it doesn't. Has your physical body ever expired?
Well, not that I can remember.
Exactly. Here we are in existence.
Right.
Ooh, let's go there. This is huge.
But I've found a dead body before.
Yeah, but is that happening right this moment? Are you holding that dead body? No. So you're manifesting a memory to support that the physical body dies. But because I was there too. I mean, I watched my mother die. I have that memory right now. But when you start playing in, is that happening right now? Because the only thing, existence is only right now.
Right.
It's only right now. And everything, and in this now moment, we are manifesting. That's the memory of the squirrel I ran over last night. Manifesting all this proof that death exists. And it looks like this.
Right.
But when you rush in this moment right now, in this existing moment right here, the only place where I can feel and taste and smell and touch, is that happening right now?
Right.
No. Okay. So then, is it real? Is it not? And again, the only person who can answer and play there is you.
Right.
But when we look at the God right here, from the space of this physical body is the God.
Right.
And this physical body does not expire. Yes, all these other ones do, because they're not out there. You're creating them right now. You're creating that there are 7,000 people on this planet, because that keeps you small, right? That helps the God hide. But when you remove all of that, you get rid of all of that, and it's that Occam's razor. The most obvious answer is the answer. And the most obvious answer right here that I can see, feel it, taste it, touch it, everything I can prove, is that I am right here. I can't prove that you're here, but I can prove that I'm here because I can feel myself. I can think. It's that existence that does not come in and go out. It's that existence that I can't get rid of no matter how hard I try. It's that. When you touch in with that, right here, right now, with I can feel, there's the God. And we're just like going, well, no, because I have a belief, I have an understanding that God is invisible. A God, yes, God is me and we are one, and da 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 da, and God is somewhere out there, I don't know where. Okay, that's fine, that's great, that's fun. But when you remove all those curtains away from the man behind the curtain, what are you left with? You're left with you. You can feel you can smell you. Yeah, about this time. Yeah. You can taste, you can, all of that. There's your proof at all times. It's like there's the God staring at you, and you have no memory whatsoever of ever losing this body. Oh, but I have memories of past life experiences. Well, let me ask you again, is that happening right now? Who's telling the story? Who? You always come back to you, not your invisible soul, blah, blah, blah. You. You're you. You're the one that's always telling the stories. No matter how distracting and wonderful the stories are to hide the God. It's you. I can always do this. Every time somebody tries to pull it off, I can always pull it back
I get
to
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your body, and that's a great one to sit with. What if this body doesn't expire? Now what? Oh, wait, does it get older? Well, do you expect it to get older? Here it is. You get what you expect.
Right.
Yeah. But it really, you start, so just for the people who are listening, if you go on my website, clark-kristen.com, anybody who subscribes gets a free gift of the meditation, the expansion and contraction meditation. And what this meditation does is it really takes you out into your infiniteness. And then it brings you back to playing small. And you get really good at feeling. You get to feel this. And you get to really start playing with you that is truly infinite. And I don't mean you as in some gauzy energy light, that no, you you and you get to feel how infinitely unlimited and ginormous you are. And yet at the same time, you get to go and get real small. And you can feel the difference between the two. And it's amazing. But yeah, when you start playing, you said you wanted me to break the brains. Here I am.
You broke my brain for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely next level stuff for me. For sure.
Nice manifesting.
I guess.
Nice creating.
I guess. Holy crap.
Yeah. And it's that outgrowing. And the thing is we don't mess around when we outgrow. You launch it into the stratosphere.
Yeah. That's where I feel like this went. Like, really, like, wow, like far out. So before we wrap it up, tell everyone kind of what you do, because I know you offer some workshops and some master classes and things of that nature, and how that can reach you.
Yeah, so same, the website that I said before, which is clark-kristen.com, and of course www. What I really do is live this right here. I do that best. I do have some videos that you can purchase. I am going to be in the process of putting up a master class I just did. But I of course I have my YouTube channel, but I don't really put any new content up on the YouTube channel because, again, that is something I've outgrown. And I love live. I love live. So if you are somewhere, India, something like that, and you're like, God, I'd love to have her come and do a talk, let me know. Reach out to me. I'm on my way. This is what I love to do. It's one thing to do this like this, but man, you get me face to face. Holy cow. Yeah, it's, I live for this, because this, being comfortable in your own mind, but not even just being comfortable, but loving the space of your own mind. Like you were saying, when you're driving, there's nothing better when you can trust your own mind, when you can just sit there and you don't need the crap on here, because your own mind is so much more fun. It is way better than social media. And if that means that you are manifesting ghosts and non-physical or this or that, how fun. I did all that and I had the best time. But again, you don't stop growing. I grew beyond it. And it was like, I suddenly realized, I don't know if it's a need I don't know that it's a need, when we're playing with something like that and we manifest something we need, or it's just, you're just a big kid playing because you can't. There's nothing you can't create. There's nothing. Every single fun, exciting, scary, spooky, this or that, that there's ghosts. You didn't come into existence playing with ghosts. That was introduced. And
Right.
you were like, ooh, that would be fun.
Right.
And poof, there you go. And I same thing with aliens for me. And your existence didn't happen with that already there. That was introduced, sort of like a buffet going, would you like some of this? Would you like some of this? And you're like, either yes or no.
Right.
But as always, you just keep going. And so, where I'm playing with death right now, or the subject or the state of death right now, I'm loving it. And I don't want to grow beyond this, but I know it's going to happen. And I know it's going to be even more fun and more exciting. I'm just not in a rush, but hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And so, yeah, I love interacting with people one-on-one. I love podcasts. I love, I'm not going to really be doing much of the recordings anymore and putting those out. I love one-on-one and interacting because,
Yeah.
that's the best place.
Well, that's what lights you up, and that's what you're trying.
Yeah.
And so, so I just, thank you for being here and for, wow, you really kind of blew, you really did go to a different level, like many different levels, like, but that's okay because I love fresh new content. I get really, you were talking about getting really bored earlier. I get really bored with the same old regurgitated stuff. I like fresh and new. Definitely fresh and new conversation, something that I haven't even ever pondered before that I'm aware of. So
yeah, and no matter how it's coming to you, whether it's through, somebody you've manifested or created, or an article or a video you're seeing, or a seminar or whatever, it's still you growing. It's you manifesting your next state.
right,
And
and obviously we are the drivers of that process. You know what I'm saying? We are the owners of that process for each of us as individuals. So you have to do, you have to be in that space and that energy where it feels good to you.
yeah, or not.
Or not.
A lot of times it comes with pain and frustration and suffering.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just like, this doesn't feel so good.
Yeah.
But hey, as always,
but
as I always say,
you can,
I always say, you always get to the other side.
yeah, you can
You always get to the other side.
Yeah,
and there you are. You're always there. You never go away. You never stop existing. You're always there.
You're always there.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that anyone who listens got something really just, a juicy, delicious nugget from this conversation today. I know I did. I've got some stuff to, to ponder, to think about on a deeper level.
Just play with. Yeah. Again, when we try not to take it so seriously, such as, heaven, hell, so serious, and when you just let yourself play, it's like you said, it's not hard when you just let yourself play.
No. I'm allergic to hard, so I'm good with that.
Oh, Janet, I had so much fun with you today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
All right. Yes. Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye. You're so funny. Oh my God.